Jessica by Bryce Courtney. Chapter 5. They hug the river, keeping the sulky close to the trees. Jessica knows that anyone coming after them from the open ground will have difficulty picking them up against the darkness of the river gums. They're 2 hours away from the punt where she and Billy must cross the river if they are to make it to Narrandera. As the sulky moves along at a steady, slow pace, Jessica tries to think about the mob of horsemen that she's sure will be out after them. She reckons it will take at least 4 or 5 hours to get a mob of men together from the various homesteads and stations around. Then they'll proceed to Riverview to inspect the 3 dead women. If they decide to tell the 2 Thomas men of the tragedy, locating the run where they're working might take another hour at least, and then the return to Riverview the same. Getting to Joe's place will add yet more time, which means they won't arrive there till late in the afternoon. After that, drunk or sober, there'll be some good bushmen among them, and they're not meant to be easily fooled. They'll see the dead dogs, the milk pail and Billy abandoned together with the broken shotgun. Then they'll come up to the house and see Billy's discarded clothes floating in the tub by the windlass, and her own stuffed into a bucket in her bedroom. There'll be blood on everything, evidence of violence everywhere. It won't be too hard to make a decision as to what's happened. Jessica runs the most logical sequence through her mind, trying to think as the men might do. They'll conclude that there's been a struggle of some sort at the pepper tree, and that Billy has slaughtered the dogs. Then, when they go up to her homestead and find Billy's torn rags and her own blood-stained clothes, the most likely conclusion they'll reach will be that he's murdered Jessica as well. But when they can't find her body, they'll change their minds and decide that Billy's taken her hostage and that her life is in danger. The missing sulky will confirm this. After that, it won't take them too long to discover that the sulky's tracks running along the riverfront, and they'll be on their way in hot pursuit. Jessica does have one thing in her favour, if it's all going as she expects. If the men get to Joe's in the afternoon, and then spend an hour looking around before they set off for the punt, they won't get to it till sundown, the time when the snakes come out to dance. She knows a good horseman won't take the risk of a snake bite to his mount. So with any luck, the mob will agree that they can't track Billy in the dark, and that setting out in the morning is much the better plan of action. The country on the far side of the river and stretching all the way to Lochland is lightly wooded at best, and most of it is flat as a pancake, black soil and scrub country where it isn't difficult to track a man down once you're onto him. They'll probably have a black tracker along with them too. Jessica reckons they'll assume that Billy's in charge, and she, if still alive, is his hostage. Billy, they'll think, has long since lost the skills of the bush, and will have trouble finding water or earning his tucker off the land. There is simply no hiding for long in this type of country, and once they've picked up his tracks, they'll reckon they have a better than even chance of tracking down their quarry before sundown tomorrow. Most of their men will have come out without rations, eager for the chase, with half a skinful of Sunday grog to cloud their judgment. Some, with a drink already leached out of them in the day's riding, will now want to go home and pick up enough rations for a couple of days, unless Jack Thomas or his old men have thought to issue rations to the horsemen before they set out from Riverview. But it's better not to think that way, Jessica decides. Jessica thinks she's left the homestead around 9 o'clock in the morning, which, after they've negotiated the punt, should put them across the river a little before noon. On the other side of the river, they'll take the road to Narrandera, and from there, if the track isn't too rutted, they should make pretty good time. She reckons the journey to Narrandera would take her and Billy around 12 hours in the sulky, allowing for stops every 3 hours to give the pony the spells he will need, if nothing goes wrong. They could make it to Narrandera just before midnight, although Jessica isn't fool enough to know that something almost always goes wrong, and that no journey in the bush is ever completed according to plan. The drought has left very little grass about, and their wheel tracks in the black soil won't be hard to follow. The mob will soon enough know that she and Billy have headed for the punt. If they've reached Joe Bergman's place earlier than she supposed, and make it across the river before sundown, then they'll have plenty of time to catch her. No matter what Jessica does, the sulky can't outrun a mob of men on horseback, so she prays silently that she's calculated correctly.